Hi, everybody.
Hi, everybody. Welcome back to Cookies and Chat. So, our cookie for today is a s'more.
Ooh,
So, we have graham crackers, marshmallow, and a little peppermint patty. So, something to spruce up your holiday. Maybe you might want to try it for the kids at Thanksgiving. And actually, what I did is I took the cheaters away and I made it in the microwave. So, take a graham cracker. I took a small peppermint patty. I put one marshmallow on top of it. I put it in the microwave for just 10 seconds. And then the marshmallows started to melt all over the peppermint patty. And then I squished it with this. So let's give it a whirl.
I think we should.
Okay. Excuse us. That's pretty darn tasty.
Messy.
Excuse us. That's pretty good.
It is pretty good.
All right. So,
The holiday take on.
here's to you. Now, as a peanut butter freak, I'm not going to do this now, but I think adding a little slab of peanut butter to it could really give a nice treat. So, give it a try. Let us know how it works for you. But something very simple, 10 seconds. So, we're coming up to the holiday season. So what Lisa and I are going to do here at Cookies and Chat is we're going to do a series of theme topics around the topic of self-care. And that takes a variety of different subjects that come up. So each week we're going to focus on a different topic, all centered around the topic of self-care. And we welcome your thoughts and feedback. Anybody have any comments that's listening there, things that you do different or things that you have to add or even suggestions to this topic and your feedback, love to hear it. So for our Sunday morning, today, we're going to talk a little bit about people that go through any kind of anxiety or panic attacks even. And this time of year, as we get into the holidays, it seems to enhance a lot of things that go on around us as we get to the holiday season. And so, Lisa, I'm going to turn it over to you in your experience for the group out here about anxiety and panic attacks, and maybe just a little bit of how do you define that and what does that mean? And I'll hand it over to you.
I do struggle with anxiety, and if you would have asked me 5 years ago if I ever had a panic attack, I would probably say no. But looking back, I know that I've had panic attacks, and I just wasn't able to identify what was going on. It's that fight or flight response, but it's also, just freezing and shutting down. I guess dissociating at that point too, and fawning, freezing, all of that: fight, flight, fawn, freeze. So those are the 4 quadrants that you typically run into when you start hitting something that is anxious for you. And so what it looks like: heart palpitations. That can be. It can be shortness of breath. It can actually feel like you're having a heart attack. I perspire. That's happened to me before. There are a lot of things, and it's different for everyone. And one of my challenges is I don't always recognize that I'm in a panic attack until it's well underway. And then it becomes harder to go ahead and sort everything out and calm everything down.
So can you tell our audience, especially for those that may not have a full understanding or be able to relate to where you're coming from, not even knowing what a panic attack is or what that feels like, and does that mean something's wrong with them? Can it happen to just anybody, and can you address that?
It can happen to anyone. Anyone can have a panic attack. It's certainly not just regulated to people that have anxiety and they know they do. Something very stressful can happen, and when that does, sometimes it's hard to slow your brain down enough and calm yourself down enough where you're okay and you're back in the moment and you're functioning. What really happens, at least for some people that I've talked to, is that suddenly you're just feeling very almost agitated. That's sort of one of the words. But yeah, it absolutely, it can happen to anyone, and you just have to be aware of what's going on, and that's the hardest thing. And then what do you do about it?
Can you give a little bit, before we talk about the what would you do about it, a little bit more detail and information for the audience, especially those that maybe have experienced some of these symptoms and they're just not sure what's going on or how to identify it. What exactly to look for? Like if these things are happening to them or their body, what could that potentially be? A panic attack? What are some of the specific symptoms, and what are some things that people can look for?
Well, one of the things you can look for is just a change in your mind starts to race. That's one thing that I think is in common with other people that I've talked to with panic attacks. You start to really have a mind racing there. You're not in the moment anymore. You're either dissociated or you're so in your own thoughts that you're not really paying attention to what's going on around you. It becomes all encompassing, and it can look just like that person's just angry or irritated or agitated, but it could be a panic attack.
Have you ever had that type of symptom or feeling, but nothing really, you can't really associate anything that would have triggered it? And
Yeah.
I imagine that way too could be easily to dismiss that. I don't know if you can personalize with that.
I had somebody explain panic attacks and anxiety sort of like, if you've ever been around a cat and somebody drops a bowl right behind the cat's going to spring up and pretty much power out of the area. And then everybody else might be sitting there and laughing. What that just means that the reflexes on the cat are just designed in such a way that when there's a trigger, they're going to go all out there and they're thinking it's a threat. And with anxiety, that also can happen. You build some neural pathways when you undergo some stressful or even traumatic experiences. So then your body becomes really hot, really wired for the next time this happens, I'm definitely going to react to it because it's dangerous.
So, and if I could just take a moment to personalize. So I've myself never experienced or thought I experienced panic attacks. And I did just want to add this personal experience because sometimes our body responds in certain ways that we dismiss or we go, no, that can't be it. And so the example I'll use for myself is several years ago, had the experience of losing my sister. I thought personally I handled it pretty well considering, but it was about a year later. And I woke up one day and I really thought I was having a heart attack. It just scared the living daylights out of me. Was feeling fine when I went to bed, but I panicked, so to speak, and ended up taking myself to the hospital, which, by the way, you should never do if you actually are having a heart attack. But I took myself to the hospital, and I walked in, and as you know, if you've never experienced this, if you walk in and say you think you're having a heart attack, the C's part, and they will take you right away, which they did for me. And I was really scared, and the doctors, I had several doctors come in, they did a workup on me and everything, and they said, no, you're not having a heart attack. You're perfectly fine. We checked your heart and you had a panic attack. And my response was, don't be ridiculous. Of course I didn't have a panic attack. I talk to people who have panic attacks. That's my profession. I can't be having one. And they go, well, you're having one. Then they asked me if there were any changes in my life. And I said, no, not really. However, if you'd asked me about a year ago, I would have told you, I lost my sister who I was very close with, and a couple of other things. And they said, how long ago? I said, it was coming up on the year anniversary. And they said, it's possible. And I went, no. But anyway, the short story is is my body, of course it was on my mind, and my body was responding in a
Yeah.
way that created a panic attack. Fortunately, they were able to help me. And, but that was an example where truly, other than feeling like I was having a heart attack, I didn't think it was precipitated by anything. So clearly, I don't want anyone to think, well, I don't go through panic attacks. I'm mentally and emotionally fine and I'm stable, because anything can precipitate it. And sometimes your body is a wake up call that maybe you should get this checked out, which of course, whether you're having a heart attack or something emotional is going on, you should have it checked out right away. And I think that's the point too. You don't want to dismiss these things. If your body is saying something to you that's not the norm for you, then you want to check that out as readily as you would of any of the experiences that Lisa's talking about.
Yeah.
So I appreciate you personalizing all this for Lisa. For the audience, can you give us some suggestions of how to handle these things and what to do when you do go through this experience?
I mean, you can look up online, and there are tons of tips and tricks. I'm going to just give you some of my favorites. Just taking the box breathing, where you take an inhale, hold it for the count of 4, and then go ahead, and as you're exhaling, and then go ahead, and then again, you're holding for 4. And then as you exhale, you're going to hold that after you're done exhaling, and then it's another 4. So it goes in 4s. So that's something that I do,
Okay.
and that seems to help. One of the things you need to really be aware of is your self-talk. Like, the worst thing to do to tell somebody that's really having an episode is calm down, or you're overreacting. Those are totally not helpful, and you should not be telling yourself that either. And then, so box breathing is one. Going and saying, what are some things that I can see? What are some things that I can hear, that I can smell? And just to kind of ground you back in the moment. Doing some healthy things to just, what is it that I can bring myself back into the moment and calm myself down in a way that I can function and get through this, because it will pass. And that's something else you can tell yourself too. This isn't permanent. But to Marcy's point, I've had a panic attack that I thought it was an asthma attack. And actually, when I went into the urgent care, my oxygen level had gone down to like 90. So clearly I was having trouble breathing. So, and again, I didn't think it was a panic attack. That was one of the two options. Either it was an asthma attack or a panic attack. And I don't have asthma. So it was probably a panic attack.
Good. Any other suggestions that you have for the audience before?
Do some reading on it. And the biggest thing is, take something in, evaluate it for yourself. Is this going to work for me? And then just try it out. And you don't need to wait until you're in full-blown panic attack mode. The next time something stressful comes up, something that it's just a trigger of some sort. The biggest thing is finding it out early enough that you're not completely into an episode. But try it. Try the box breathing. Try the grounding yourself. Even pushing your feet into the ground. Something to, like, I'm here. I'm in this body. I'm in this situation. And this is what I'm doing. So that's pretty much, but there are so many tips. Meditation is out there. We'll talk about that in like one of our other sessions.
So just to be clear to the audience, we are, even though this may be part of my profession, neither one of us are here to give you sound medical advice. We're just offering suggestions and personal experience.
Yes.
So if you are experiencing any of these things and it's foreign to you, you may want to try some of Lisa's suggestions, read up on it, but please don't do anything in lieu of seeing a professional.
Absolutely.
Whether it's a therapist, if you need referrals and you want to message me personally, I'd be happy if you live in the Philadelphia area. But there's many fine people out there, and we'll talk about in the future too of how to find a good professional. But seek out professional. seek out your primary physician if you already have a medical professional. Look, better to be safe than sorry. Whatever the symptoms are, whatever's going on, don't dismiss them. Speak to somebody about
Definitely.
it. Try these relaxation, the breathing techniques, certainly very helpful. Even if you're feeling just a little anxious about anything, you don't have to be having a panic attack. But please don't dismiss these things. Take care of yourself now, because if you don't, nobody else will. You're the most important person. So we are going to talk more about these things, and hope that this few minutes together helped a little bit, if not only create awareness, and if you wouldn't mind passing so we can end on a sweet note here. And, of course, as I'm all stuck together here, ending on a sweet note, we wish everybody a fabulous week, and we look forward to talking to you with some more cookies and chat, and you may even catch us in the kitchen next Sunday. So have a great week, everybody. See you then.
Have a great week.